So, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Time is going way too fast, as it always does.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. I know. So we had, from what people said to me, the last episode that we did about the Seattle bands, etc., went down very well. We had some very good comments about that one.
What, from your students? Or
From loads of different people. But I'm getting people saying now they can't wait for the next one.
Wow.
So it may be a relatively small audience, but it's a very select, very interested audience. That's what you want.
It is for these deep discussions.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that more than rambling on. But yeah, deep discussions is good. So we're up to episode 8. So we've got past the I'm going to say the magic, but we've got past that difficult episode 7 that you mentioned.
Yes, we're still chipping away.
We're still chipping away.
Yeah, we're in the flow now. However long it takes for them to come out, we are in the flow.
We'll be in double figures soon, Bob.
we just got to come up with subjects. That's the thing.
There'll be plenty of that. So today, I think this is one that I suggested to you. We're each going to pick. Obviously, your top 5 bass players, my top 5 guitar players.
Yeah.
As soon as I've said top 5, I've thought it's not really top 5. It's sort of 5 that you can pick from about 100. You know what I mean? It's hard to whittle these things down. So I say top 5. I don't know about you. Mine aren't in any particular order. Or are yours in a particular order?
Mine kind of.
Oh, that's all right.
I'll be straight from the top. This was hard for me.
Yeah, I bet. It is, isn't it?
Well, perhaps not for the same reason it was hard for you.
Oh, right.
Because
why is it hard for you then?
This might surprise some people, or it might, and it won't surprise other people. But I'm not like a big musician kind of guy. I always say I play bass to play in a band.
Yeah, you're not. What you're trying to say, Bob, is you're not a muso.
Yeah, and
unlike me.
I love the bass. I love what it does, and over the years, as I've been playing, I appreciate what goes into it a lot more.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, when I see someone on stage, I like go crazy. Oh, that guy's insanely good. I've got to learn everything he does, which a lot of people do. I'm sure you really study people. I mean, you do it for a living. You teach guitar. You love the guitar. So for me, I've gone in from guys who influence me playing-wise, who have had an effect on me, and it's perhaps not necessarily through their bass playing.
Right.
It's other things as well.
The things around them. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
so,
cool. Right, come
we'll
on.
See how this goes.
Yeah. Tell me your first one, then.
Right, my first one, no surprise to anybody who knows me, is a guy called Todd Jensen, who kind of is the guy who made me want to play bass, made me change from guitar to picking up a bass guitar. Not because he is an amazing bass player, but he took the time to speak to me and my mate Tot at a gig one time. Right. And I thought, this guy is cool.
Yeah.
Whatever he's doing, I want to do it. So I ditched the guitar and picked up the bass.
Yeah, very good. Lasting impression. That's
I mean, and that's kind of the way that Todd is. He's a hired gun. He goes from band to band. A session player. Well, not. Do you call them session players when they do tours? Or is it a session player when you're in the studio?
I suppose are they more like what they call a dep when it's a deputy when it's live stuff. But most of those players
hired
will
gun kind.
Hired gun. Yeah, most sideman. Whatever. Most of those players will do sessions work as well, won't they?
Yeah. I mean, it first came to my attention when he was playing with David Lee Roth.
Right.
Then he went on to be in the band Hardline, which still to this day is one of my all-time favourite albums. And that's when I met him. And since then, he went on to play with Paul Rodgers, Steve Perry, Alice Cooper. He was in Ozzy Osbourne's band for the tiniest time.
Yeah, that's where I know his name from Paul Rodgers.
Right.
I think. Because when you've mentioned him before, I've thought, I know the name. But yeah, that makes sense now you've said that.
Yeah, after Hardline split up, Paul Rodgers basically recruited Hardline, except for the two brothers, to be his backing band. And they did, what was it? Was it Muddy Waters stuff? Which he did loads of stuff on.
Paul Rodgers comes from like a blues background.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Yeah, now that makes sense to me. Then.
Yeah. And now he's got the gig. he went off and he was like David Lee Roth's personal assistant for many, many years. Todd was all through the Van Halen reunion and everything. Yeah. But now he's just got the gig playing with Journey.
Wow.
So he's played with Steve Perry, and now he's got the gig in Journey, which again is another Hardline reference because obviously Neil Schon was in Hardline originally from Journey, and Dean Castronovo plays drums. So you've got 3/5 of Hardline in Journey now.
Yeah. So, but I could ask you about any of these that you're going to say, Bob. What sort of bass player is he? Is he
nothing like me?
Can he? Does he do the flash, or is he very much like Serve the Song?
Very, very showman-like, very good showman. I mean, I did see him on stage. So that guy's cool, but he's got a totally different approach to me. He plays with his fingers. Bass is kind of high.
Right.
He can sing, which I can't sing.
Right.
But yeah, again, just his attitude. This guy's cool. I like his vibe. And yeah, it just hit me at that right time when I was 17, 18 years old.
Right.
That's the only reason.
Very
and
good.
he's stayed in touch with him over these years, checking with him once a year, a couple of times a year. And yeah, it's just nice to have that relationship.
Very good.
Yeah.
Cool. So what did you say? Was he the main reason you switched from guitar then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was playing guitar when I met him.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I'm going to get a bass.
Yeah.
Tried to make my bass look like his in this picture with David Lee Roth.
Right.
Like, it was like a precision bass, and I had like a sunburst bass. So I just put paint stripper all over it. When the pickups were still in it and everything.
Oh,
so
God.
I've melted the pickups and everything.
Blimey. Blimey.
But it looks cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess just without digressing too much, did that open you up to playing in more bands then when you switched to bass? Because the guitar players a ten a penny.
Yeah, I think I was probably right. I'm not that great a musician, but I know there's not many bass players.
Come on, Bob, don't.
So I might get a gig here and there. Everyone's going to need a bass player. So I just saw that opportunity. Yeah, it was just seeing an opportunity, I think.
Yeah.
That's what it came down to.
Cool. Right.
Hit me with one.
My first one, I don't suppose mine are in particularly any order. Shall I go for the obvious one? Well, seeing as you've mentioned Van Halen, I've got, obviously Eddie Van Halen's got to be in the five. Just because that when you're a kid learning to play guitar and you first hear him, it's just like, whoa. Yeah, and then as soon as you listen to him, you realise where everybody else at the time had got their style from. Yeah, immediately, don't you? I mean, it's he's trying to be Eddie Van Halen. Oh yeah, he's trying to be Eddie Van Halen.
Who do you think are these people who you see specifically with the influence?
There's so many, aren't there? I mean, I guess one of the main things with Eddie was the Floyd Rose and the use of the tremolo, and you just heard these guys in these hair metal solos like do a dive bomb and then they hit the harmonic and it comes back up and it's like, wow, that's just Eddie did that in every solo nearly, didn't he? But
still no one played like him though.
No.
It was him talking through the guitar and everyone was just learning his licks, his riffs.
That's right.
Like that.
Yeah, I mean there are very few. There are a few guitar players that play one note or maybe two, and you know instantly it's them. And Eddie was one of them.
Yeah.
There are very, very few that to mainstream, not to people like me, musos, I've said it again, but people who like geek out about guitar. There's a few guitar players that I can tell, oh yeah, I know that such and such.
Yeah.
But you've got very few that would a mainstream listener who's interested in the guitar would think, I know who that is. And as soon as Eddie Van Halen starts, you know it's him.
Yeah. I mean, just for people who perhaps aren't that familiar with his sound, they will know his stuff in things like Beat It by Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
which,
exactly.
In my opinion, that solo does not fit in the song.
No, not at all. I agree with you 100%. It's just... And I probably didn't know because I was into Michael Jackson a long time before Van Halen, but I probably didn't know that was Eddie Van Halen at the time.
Yeah.
And then you find out and you think, oh yeah, it all makes sense.
It
know
jumps
what I mean?
out. He's just putting his Van Halen stamp on a Michael Jackson song.
Yeah,
which could say, is he playing for the song on that one, or was?
Yeah. I think he was just doing his thing, wasn't he?
Yeah, which perhaps what Michael Jackson wanted.
Exactly. Probably. If you're going to have Eddie Van Halen play on your song, you want him to sound like Eddie Van Halen, don't you?
Yeah.
But I mean, I've said this before in other episodes that the one guitar that I wish I'd never sold is the Eddie Van Halen Music Man signature guitar that I had. It was obviously a Van Halen signature model to anybody who knew, but it wasn't as overt as like the Stripe model.
Exactly.
Stripe guitar, you know. And actually, one of them, obviously I wanted one because he played it, and I thought, but it was probably more Dweezil Zappa playing one at the time.
Right.
That he had a purple one. I love the look of that guitar so much. And I couldn't get a purple one. I've said this again. I'll put a picture up. But I've said that I had a pink Music Man Van Halen guitar, but it wasn't like a bubblegum pink. Mm-hmm. It was almost Virgin on Rep. But
every colour of those guitars they issued was amazing.
Yeah. Well, everybody wanted the amber one because that was the one that Eddie played. But as soon as I saw Dweezil playing this purple one, and I can't think which song it would have been. In one of his, which song?
Was it Vanity?
Might have been, yeah. It might have been on that. Could have been. But I remember there was a Guitar World rig rundown where Dweezil was like stood in front of all his gear, massive pedal board amps. But then there was this purple Music Man EVH there. And I just thought, that's so cool. And I think when... I've probably said this before as well. I saw Dweezil play at Rock City, and they were about... In the main room, Rock City, Nottingham, that is... People who... most people will know. There were about 50 people there.
When was this? Is this the AZDZ stuff?
Yes, yeah, when Amit was singing with it. Yeah.
Oh, man, I was on holiday when that happened. I'd love to have gone to that gig.
I'm sure it might have been the night of my college leaving party, and I reckon me and my mate went to that and then went...
I don't know if you've ever told me that.
I might have done. I thought, so main room. Yeah, there were probably, 50 might even be being...
Wow.
Being optimistic. So obviously we were stood right at the front and they were talking to us, but they all still went for it. They were just enjoying it, you know.
They do that like crazy medley with like 100 and something songs within 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, and they did the What's New Pussycat song that Amit obviously clearly loved to sing. But yeah, so I got a close up of Dweezil playing that guitar.
Oh, mate. No, I don't think you ever told me that.
I've got the flyer.
That is one gig I'll kick myself for not going to.
Yeah, I've got the flyer somewhere in a frame that I used to have on my wall. I'll have to dig it out. I don't know where that's gone. But, so Eddie's got to be on there. Even though I got into all the, like, Steve Vai, Satriani, the shreddy stuff, I was never going to play like that. So, and even though I've now taught a few Van Halen songs as best you can. Mm-hmm. It's not my style of playing.
No. What was the first Van Halen riff you learned? Do you remember?
I'm not sure, to be honest. The one that I probably learned would have come later on when For Unlawful Kind of Knowledge came out. That because I've said this before, I keep repeating myself. OU812 was the first Van Halen album that I heard because I got it out on cassette from the library.
Yeah.
But I'd say, like, my real sort of obsession with him was when that album came out, because it came out when I was into really my guitar playing had sort of taken over my life. So yeah, probably some of the riffs off that were, and then you go back and you learn it talking about love and etc. Yeah. But yeah, I do regret selling that guitar.
It'll come back. Everything comes back round, mate.
Well,
you never know when one's going to pop up.
I've said to you before, I've got a search on eBay for when they come up.
The notification thing.
Going for crazy money.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane money. So yeah, I'm not. Then it makes me think, the more how much I sold it for, which is most ridiculous. Right, so there we go. So there's my first one. All right, go on, give me another one of yours.
Still kind of going in chronological. Once I finally got my bass from Freddie Crooks in Hina. Someone gave me a tip off. Oh, they're selling a bass in the second-hand shop in Hina, and it was. I'm trying to think what sort of bass it was now. Was it? Oh, that's put me on the spot now. I've still got it, and I can't remember what make it was. I used to be able to reel it off the top of my head.
Like a Squire, or was it a next level up from like a Squire?
Oh no, it's a decent bass. I'm trying to think what make it is. Oh shit! I'll have to try and remember, and I'll send the details. You can put it in.
Yeah. I'll put a message on. Yeah.
But I've still got it up in the loft. I got it for £80, which included the hard case as well.
Wow, including the case, blimey, Bob.
Yeah. It's a Stingray bass. Not a Stingray bass.
Like a Music Man then?
No. I'll remember.
You have to tell me. Yeah, send me a picture.
Yeah, I remember. My brain is just fried.
It's the heat. It's the heat. I'm struggling to concentrate. Go on, carry on.
So yeah, the first thing I learned was some extra. I've got to learn some extreme stuff. I've got to learn some Pat Badger riffs.
Oh.
So I think Tragic Comic was the first one I learned, and then Get the Funk Out.
Yeah.
And to this day, I've still not learned all of Get the Funk Out. I think before I retire or die, I need to learn that entire song and do a video to prove that I did it, because it's phenomenal. It really is. And his playing, I think I was big into extreme prior to picking up the bass. I met Todd Jensen on the 3 Sides to Every Story tour.
Right.
And then we spoke about Wait for the Punchline wasn't really my thing.
Yeah.
So kind of extreme, didn't go off the radar, but once I was getting into bass playing, I was learning different kind of stuff. So other than like Tragic Comic and Get the Funk Out, I didn't really learn much other stuff.
Right.
And it wasn't until the reunion when they did the Porno Graffiti album in full.
Yeah.
And I was up front watching Pat play. I was like, I didn't realize this guy was this good.
Yeah, he is very good.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought he looked cool. This is how wafer thin everything is with me. But man, he pretty much. I mean, they should say, a lot of people say, "Oh, the bass player should do his own thing," but you're playing in a band with Nuno, and for most of the stuff, it matches what Nuno's doing riff-wise.
He doubles a lot of it up. Yeah, he doubles a lot of it up.
It's crazy, and he sings as well at the same time.
Yeah.
His singing and bass playing is just, I think he's incredibly underrated in rock bass playing.
Yeah, he doesn't get mentioned very often, does he?
No, and I think he should be up there with the best of them, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing. When you're a 4-piece like them, when Nuno takes a solo, he was like playing the riff, wasn't he? Doubling up, so it filled it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. How many times have you seen Extreme then?
Next to Bowling for Soup, they're probably the band I've seen most times.
Are they?
To be honest,
right.
Yeah. So, crikey. Well, we saw them at Rock City, then things exploded for them, and I think we'd see them on like twice on every tour.
Would you? Right.
From then. So, certainly into double figures, I think.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I wonder if because of the way that Extreme were perceived, I think they're a band that in the mainstream. It's sad to say most people know one song, don't we? And we all know what song that is. And then it always made me laugh about that in some ways, that people listened to that and thought, oh, I like Extreme. They're like an acoustic band, a bit like Simon and Garfunkel or something, you know. Yeah. And then I wondered what people thought when they like listened to Porno Graffiti or whatever, and
went out and brought that album because of that song.
This is not quite what I thought. You know,
that must have been the case for so many bands in that time period.
In that time, yeah, because the song that all the record labels wanted was the ballad, wasn't it? And
Extreme took it to like as far removed.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's the brilliance of them.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. Speaking about More Than Words, if More Than Words was released in the 70s, how would that song be perceived now? Would that be up there as one of the greatest songs of all time?
It'd be up there with Hotel California and those sort of things, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I truly believe it would be.
But I think it has a slightly unfair perception in a lot of ways as a song, doesn't it? It's a bit saccharine to some people, and I've taught it a few times. It's hard. It's easy. No, not easy. Sorry, no. It's not too difficult to play, but some parts are difficult.
Yeah. Well, it's made up of like the most chords that ballads are done.
But... Yeah. It's a G, a B bass, like a C add 98. There's an E minor in it, but then he throws in the odd little twist. There's a few modulations in it, but it's the end. If you play the full version with all that fast part, which I've done a couple of times, that took some tabbing out. I tell you that. But it is a great song. I don't care what anybody says. And look how much it's still played on the radio all over the world. So, I don't know. But no, I'm glad you've said him because I agree with you 100%. I think Pat Badger is a massively underrated musician.
Yeah.
Massively.
And now he fronts an Eagles tribute band as well.
I know he does.
Singing as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Proper dude, man. So,
which one shall I say next? Well, let's go for. So you've mentioned like that the image and the look of somebody has been important to you, right? I'm going to say a guy now. I think he's a brilliant guitar player, but he's a cool dude as well, and that's Dave Navarro.
Nice.
He's
certainly got a brand, hasn't he?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So I would almost go as far as to say because I'm a big Chili Peppers fan, my favourite Chili Peppers album would be One Hot Minute.
Right.
Even though, and I've not got John Frusciante on my list, I feel ashamed of myself. But even though he's one of my all-time favourites, I just think that One Hot Minute is so underappreciated.
Okay.
Because it's so different to most of the other Chili Peppers albums. Because Dave brought this darkness and more full on. He brought.
What year was this?
Oh, what year was One Hot Minute? Was it 99? Oh, I should have checked that, shouldn't I? I'll double check. No, it was before that, wasn't it? It might have been 95, 96. I'll double check and put it on.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a fan of Jane's Addiction, but they perhaps came along a little bit earlier than some of the...
Yeah.
But then, like, you see Being Caught Stealing the video for that, and you're into it because it's just got such a cool groove. But Navarro played, or I think he still does play. He's moved about a little bit, but he plays Paul Reed Smith guitars, which I do, and that's another reason why he came to my... Because you used to see these cool adverts with this guy look cool playing a white PRS, and it always made me want one. But there's just something... He's rooted in sort of blues and classic rock, really.
Yeah.
And what he plays is not... I would say not massively flashy, but he does it with such a aplomb, and whenever I see him play, it looks like it's effortless to him.
Yeah. Have you seen him play live? Yeah,
I've seen Jane's Addiction when they did the first comeback album, that Strays album.
With Chris Chaney on bass?
Yes, yeah.
Now that's a great bass player.
It is, definitely, yeah. He's played with some people.
He's one where you can hear, oh, that sounds like Chris Chaney.
Yeah, I think you're
right.
He
does these really cool, like, slidey kind of... I know he's playing because he did the Alanis Morissette stuff, but he did some stuff with Tommy Lee on Methods of Mayhem as well.
Did he? Yeah, he's played with loads of people, hasn't he? Yeah.
He's great.
But no, that Jane's Addiction gig, I mean, I'd love to have seen him like in their heyday, but I was just a bit in awe of seeing Dave Navarro. It's just his whole like persona. It's just, So I guess, there's an example for me of a dude that looks cool.
Yeah.
But he can play.
Yeah.
He did, I've got the... So he did this, let me see that, this solo album. I don't know if you've ever heard that or seen it, but so he basically does everything on that, I think.
Yeah.
Most. I'm not sure, actually, whether... I don't know whether Josh Freese plays drums on this. I can't remember. But Navarro can sing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be honest with me. In the past, have you tried to model any Navarro looks?
Yes, of course.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to tell you this story now. And I wasn't going to say it because it sounds like, but I don't know if you remember, but me and Russell, who people don't know. Well, how long you known Russell? So you went to school with him, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother-in-law who sings in my band with me. I've known Russell for a long time now, in case he watches this. We went to play in America a couple of times, completely self-funded. And the second time, one of the gigs we played was at the Rainbow, would you believe? Upstairs in there, I think it ended up being almost like an open mic thing.
In the Hollywood Vampires area?
I don't know about that. No, not quite. But we were walking through the actual main bar bit. I don't know if I can say that. And
too late, we're in. We're in.
And someone said, and I think actually it was Angela, my wife, said, "Did you hear that woman?" Then she said, "Oh, is that Dave Navarro?" And I thought I'll take that.
Yeah,
I was a lot younger then.
Mate.
I had slightly shorter hair. Yeah. It's the little beard. It must be.
Yeah.
I didn't have any eyeliner on, but you forced that out of me.
Was you topless, like all ripped?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what sealed the deal.
I'd had the marker out to draw all the tattoos on. Yeah, but I thought I'd take that.
Yeah, roll with that one, mate.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and then the other album which I'd say I've listened to, he did this project called the Panic Channel,
right?
Which is I can't read that close enough. I can't think what year that is.
We're right there, old fox. I can't remember my first base. You can't read.
I know. I can't get close enough to it. But that's a good album.
Yeah.
That's a full band project.
Nice.
And I was a bit disappointing. Yeah, Stephen Perkins and this has got Chris Chaney on as well.
Okay.
So I think it was Stephen Perkins on drums from James Dixon. Yeah, Chris Chaney played bass on that. So those two albums, I'll put the proper pictures up. They're worth checking out.
Nice.
But, yeah, cool. Right, do you want to do your next one, Bob?
Mm-hmm.
Go on then.
My list, it doesn't stray much from a kind of a blueprint of styles of players. I apologize to anybody.
Well, it's what you like. Yeah, it's what you like.
You mentioned Eddie Van Halen. I'm going to shout to Michael Anthony.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
Yeah. A split 50-50 on his playing and his attitude to everything he does. It baffles me no end because I'm on a few hard rock gossip boards when people slag Michael Anthony's bass playing off, saying
crazy.
It's simple. I just do not get that.
No.
People say his stuff's easy to play. Have they listened to those early Van Halen albums where every instrument is so high in the mix you can pick out every part? Yeah. And to hear what the bass is doing is just amazing.
Yeah,
it's not just thumping along like people. There's a few songs where Panama's thumping along, but there's still some cool changes and things like that in there.
It's his vocals though that they missed as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean a lot of people said on the reunion that some of the vocals were put through on tape, but I know Wolfgang can sing. A lot of people vouch for Wolfgang.
Yeah,
was still doing the high parts, but Mike's playing. And there's such a change in his playing as well. Those earlier albums is a certain style. Then whoever mixed 5150 and OU 812 want shooting because you can't hear the bass.
I know.
But going back to an album you spoke about, From Lawful Carnal Knowledge, holy shit, talk about ramping that bass up. And probably to contradict what I've just said about thumping along, a lot of the stuff on that album is just full on, if you want to call them eighth notes or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like in Pound Cake and things like that. It's some of the best sounding bass stuff I've ever... If you want to hear how good just thumping along sounds in a song, listen to Pound Cake.
It's the sound, but it's not necessarily... Yeah, it's just... It's the way it's mixed and the sound of it.
Yeah. More
than he's playing, it's just sat there, isn't it? And you can hear it so clearly. But I can...
And it's thunderous. But then there's another song on that album right now. You hear what the bass is doing on that.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's so good. But this is a guy who, the most rock star.
Yeah.
He's just an average dude if you saw some pictures of him. Put him on a stage. Yeah. Still doesn't quite fit the rock star mold, but once he hits that stage, he is a rock star, and I defy anybody not to smile watching him play.
Yeah,
I've seen Van Halen a few.
Yeah, it looks like he looked like he's enjoying himself.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Wolfgang, that the people say they missed his vocals, but they missed that showmanship on stage.
Definitely.
just something, the heart was just ripped out. Yes, you had someone who could play amazingly, and I love the fact that he had 3 Van Halens on stage.
Yeah.
But so much was missed from Mike not being there. It really was.
And it makes it all the more sad in a lot of ways, how they fell out and they just couldn't.
Yeah.
They just couldn't. Why would they not want him to play? I just don't get it.
I think it's that brotherly DNA blood relationship. They saw it as disrespect to the band that he carried on playing with Sammy. And like, you're with us or you're not. It's that kind of thing.
These people, one of my picks in a bit, I'm going to say how much I think he's wasted his legacy in some ways. But, Matt, I just can't believe with a band like Van Halen, they can't just rise above it.
Mm. But is that's what makes these bands so unique? And
I guess
they have got this intrinsic weirdness in them.
Yeah, and
that normal people see, like, mate, just get over it.
Yeah,
but they can't.
So, which of his bass lines would you have tried to pick out and learn then straight away? Is there anyone in particular?
It's a strange one because it's a cover version, but You Really Got Me was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
But that was a great one to learn. Stuff off that first album, like Ain't Talking About Love as well.
Yeah.
But because you could really hear the parts.
Yeah.
That's one great thing about learning to play bass. When you find an album where you can, bass is really strange for people who, a lot of people don't know what the bass is. If you said pick out the bass, they wouldn't know.
I know.
And a lot of times, I've had this discussion with people before, saying, "Oh, it sounds fine." I'm like, yeah, but you turn the bass. This is not me from like, oh, it's bass, it's got to be loud. No, you need to hear it to a certain level.
Yeah.
Bass is like, you don't hear it until you want to hear it. If you want to, it's a really strange thing. And
I think you're right.
With the early Van Halen stuff, it's clear as day. Every instrument and is a legend. It really is.
Definitely. Cool. My next one, Jimmy Page. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's another one of those players that it looks cool. And the whole like bowing the guitar thing. Yeah. You know, you
one of a kind. Don't repeat that.
Yeah. You couldn't walk on stage and do that. People that do it now are just I can't take it. And the other thing that's cool about him, I think, and this is a quote that a lot of guitar players will know, that a lot of the riffs came out of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So, he'd be playing and play the wrong note, but then he'd keep repeating it, and you've got some of the most famous riffs you've ever heard, which is interesting that I mentioned riffs, because I know when we've had discussions before, you like very much of the opinion of they're great musicians and they write great riffs, but they're not. You're a bit skeptical about some of the actual songs.
Yeah, it doesn't grab me. That's because I'm coming from like a 3.5 minute pop song background, and those songs, I think you either had to be there to appreciate the weirdness of it and everything that was surrounding it at the time, or I know some people when they first heard Led Zeppelin, younger people, either our age, I'm classing us as younger people, but younger people or people who are still finding them now, they've not heard anything like it before. So it perhaps in a way hits them the same way as it did in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? There's nothing like this at the moment, other than Greta Van Fleet or whatever.
All right. That's not mentioned though. Yeah, but so I can understand where you're coming from, but if you listen to some of the like deeper album cuts and maybe some of the lesser heralded albums, there's some different stuff on there that I think they're a band you get so used to hearing, like Led Zeppelin 1 and 2, that you can get a bit
but I listen to the rock radio stations now, me and Jane are in the car, and it'll be about 3 minutes into this song and she'll say, what is this? It's not radio friendly stuff, I don't think.
It's not but just quickly, I mean, but I think he's wasted a lot of his legacy in some. Not wasted a lot, but he could have done more. He spent way too long, like just revisiting the catalogue and remastering it. He did the Coverdale Page album. He did the album with Plant, and he did the Black Crow stuff. But I just think he spent too long faffing about. He could have done so much new music, but maybe he don't want to.
Be interesting to know what he does enjoy. I mean, if he keeps diving back into, he must be listening to the stuff. Oh, it's not quite right. It's not quite right.
Yeah, I know.
Or someone saying, "You need some money, Jimmy. Remaster the
exactly,
albums again."
Exactly. But there comes a point where you've got to accept those things for a moment in time, and you know,
keeps George Lucas in them bad boys.
Wow, yeah, that's true. Right, come on then, Bob. What's your next one?
My next one is a guy so far removed from my knowledge of bass or my way I play bass. Well, I'll say that. I guess there is some elements, because what I'll go into. People consider this guy, well, he is a virtuoso, but a lot of people say, oh, he overplays. He does too much. I know what you're going to
say. Let me see if I'm right. Go on.
Go on then.
You say
Billy
it.
Sheehan.
Yeah.
But I put him in this list of people who have influenced me is because I was that kid who saw him in all the magazines, but I also brought the video tutorials. He had a couple of learn how to play kind of stuff. And that's when I really began to appreciate him as a person and the way he plays, because in a lot of these videos, it'd just be him sat with Pat Torpey playing Mr. Big songs. And I'd say like 80% of those songs is him just thumping along in the pocket. Yeah. And it's just so locked in. Those two guys were just so locked in. And every now and again, it just put a cool little thing in the space where it could be. Yeah. I think because he could do all the tapping stuff and he'd do these crazy solos in the set. And every now and again in a song, it'd have a break where it'd normally be a guitar solo, but he'd do some crazy bass.
Well, I suppose
tapping.
Addicted to That Rush is the classic.
Exactly, yeah. So people focus on that, whereas they miss how solid bass player he is. So, and just the way I've never really got into the theory side of stuff, but for a while I did dive in, and it was because of Billy Sheehan. The way he described it, the way he laid it out, he made it sound simpler. Yeah. So I perhaps took on board certain things that way. Yeah. He's just got a great attitude, a great way of explaining stuff. So I'm not surprised he's so popular at doing all convention clinics, because he's got a great way.
He's got a very interesting bass sound. There's not a lot of bottom end to it. Yeah.
This is my negative with Billy Sheehan, if I have to pick one. The stuff he does with like the Winery Dogs, which is a little bit different stuff.
I don't like the sound. Yeah.
It's Billy Sheehan's sound injected. Yeah. I've got nothing against what he plays. Yeah. But mix the sound a little bit to suit the rest of the band. Yeah. I think that would have suited, but it's still. But is that just his fingers?
Maybe. But no, well, I think his sound is very little bottom end. Yeah. And I think a lot of that comes from he's almost being a rhythm guitar player at times. Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because I've got the first Winery Dogs album, and maybe that's stopped me. I was never mad keen on the sound of it. But then, like Addicted to That Rush, I've tabbed that out. Well, I can send it to you. That was hard work. I'm not saying I can play it, but I've tabbed it out. Yeah. It suited that perfectly. Yeah. So, that's interesting you say that. Because the Winery Dogs are, I hate using this term in some ways, but a classic rock band, aren't they?
Exactly.
And I'm not sure that sort of sound, not the playing, like you say, the sound, I'm not sure
it's
it
necessarily
the sound.
Fits. It was like, whether most people like that, because, that's Billy Sheehan right there. Yeah. They like this super group. Yeah. But when I first heard him, I was like, oh, it's Billy Sheehan. I love hearing what he's doing, but I don't like, it's not sitting with the rest of the band mix-wise. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how that went down in the studio with that. Yeah. What the decision was made. Say, just round it off a little bit.
Fix it in the mix.
He's great. And still to this day, I'd love to meet him. I've never met him, so I'd love to meet him. And
he does seem like a nice bloke. Yeah. Right. My next one, this guy, another like Paul Reed Smith connection from a bit. I'm going for a guy called David Grissom. When you mentioned about session guy, he's the quintessential session man. Right. Obviously played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gigs, but
sounds like an author.
David Grissom, Grisham, yeah. I first came into contact with him. Well, I saw the PRS ads, but he played with John Mellencamp on the Whenever We Wanted album. bit of a throwback to our Nottingham record shopping days. I think I bought the cassette tape of that from Arcade Records.
Oh, wow.
And I think I bought it because I'd seen Grissom's name linked with it. I've said this to you before. You might not like the sound of that. It's a very dry album. There's basically no reverb on it.
Right.
But it's so they're playing it. It's just like he was playing his PRS then into a 50-watt Marshall, and the sound. It's just one of the best guitar sounds for that like blues roots rock stuff you'll ever hear. But I've made a list. He's played with Buddy Guy. Before Mellencamp, he played with a guy called Joe Ely. But he's played with the Dixie Chicks. He played with them for quite a while. He was like their musical director. The Allman Brothers, Chris Isaac, Lucinda Williams, and then he's done I don't know how many sessions and stuff that he's done. And he had a band with the rhythm section from Steve Ray Vaughan's band called the band were called Storyville.
Right.
They had they did an album. There's a few tracks off that. What Passes for Love was quite a big hit in America, but A Good Day for the Blues was quite a big song for them. But yeah, he's the main thing about him. He's another guitar player for me that could play anybody off the stage, but he doesn't need to.
No.
But his tone. Now you see, he's a guitar player because I know him so well. I know if he played me 2 notes, I'd know it was him. But
you go deep on these.
Yeah,
guys.
but he's just So just happens to be said. So this is. I went off signature guitars a long time ago, but this, by most accounts, is probably the best PRS that they make. Right, and so many.
How old's that?
This is a 2009. So I've had this quite. This is the. I've owned a lot of PRS guitars. This is the best one I've ever had.
Yeah.
But a lot of the session guys in Nashville and that play these. They play one and say, "Wow, I've got to get one. Can you get me one, David?" Because it just does. It's very Les Paul sounding, but it's got a brilliant coil split, so you can basically make it sound like a bit like a Strat. It's never going to sound like a Strat, but you can make it sound. But yeah. This is one of the few guitars that I'd say I would never sell.
Yeah.
But you see, it looks like a PRS. It doesn't look like a signature guitar, which is the other reason why I love it so much. Because you're not like going on stage with like a Van Halen Stripe guitar.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've had a Nuno signature when I was much younger. I would never play that on stage now because it's just not possible.
It's the weirdest thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going back to Billy Sheehan, when I first started getting into bands, going to see local bands, there was a guy playing in. I can't remember the name of the band now. Incredible bass player, but he went on stage playing a Billy Sheehan.
Right,
bass.
the Yamaha bass, yeah.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
And playing it, you could tell Billy Sheehan was his guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, this guy's awesome, but
yeah,
you kind of lose some of your own identity when you do that.
Yeah, yeah. But no, David Grissom, just If I could play like one guitar player, and I'm old enough to now think I play like me, but I've got to admit, if I could, it's just the way he phrases and everything, it would be him. Just
what was your introduction? You say
I saw the PRS adverts with him in,
right?
But then reading that he was playing with Mellencamp,
gotcha.
And just the first like rhythm guitar, that album. It
sold it.
Got me. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And it fitted in quite well, that album, with what I was listening to at the time, because I was starting to get into the Seattle stuff. So that was Mellencamp trying to get more relevant, I think. And it
wonderful.
So that's right. Go on then. So how many have you got left?
Got one more.
You got one more. Go on then, Bob.
This was a hard one. Like I said, this was a tough list for me to do.
Yeah.
I said I've got some honourable mentions, but I'm thinking who's influenced my playing, and I had to go. This is a bit of a clang moment. Well, it's not really a clang moment, but I'm going to say Lonnie Vincent from the Bullet Boys, because I had to pretty much learn all that first album and a bunch of stuff off the second album.
Yeah, and
it's great stuff. It's really frigging good stuff. And I'll tell people, I don't know if I've said this before or not. When I knew I was going to get the gig to tour with the Bullet Boys, okay, here's your set. This is what I've got to learn. Now, Bullet Boys didn't crop up much in Guitar World, or when you search for Bullet Boys tabs, There's not that many out there. So I was learning it by ear. And it was great stuff to learn. It was a lot of fun. And I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks before the tour, I was on eBay and there was a bass tab book for the first Bullet Boys.
Oh, I remember you saying that before.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I'm there. I think it finished at like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm there like bidding and somebody outbid me. I'm like, oh, you're fucking kidding me. This is the treasure trove to make sure I'm learning all the
I need
parts
it for work.
Right. I need it. Yeah. So what I did, I don't know if I've shared this story or not. It was in America.
Yeah.
Straight away, I messaged the guy who was selling it. And I told him the story. I said, look, I need, if I could, before you post this out to everyone who's won it, how much would you charge to photocopy it for me? And he did it. He did it and posted it out to me. And luckily, pat on the back for me, I got pretty much everything correct.
Right. Yeah.
But there's such great stuff. He's just a really great rock bass player. He's had a lot of troubles. He went off the rails a little bit, but he'd been in jail and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But as a great rock bass player of that era, he's brilliant. It's straightforward stuff, but like you were saying earlier, he plays it straight, but every now and again there's these cool little bits that go in there. It's a little bit off the wall, which you needed to be in that band as well. So yeah, Lonnie Vincent, hats off to the guy. Much respect.
Very good. How old's he then, Bob?
He's going to be the same age as all of them, so probably, I'm 47. He's going to be, I'm going to say mid to late 50s, perhaps,
right.
something like that, yeah.
So, yeah. Again, it's interesting, isn't it, how you find somebody and connect with them on a level that, it's not always just the playing, is it? Let's put it that way.
No.
There's the whole connection around.
Yeah.
And you read things about them, and then you maybe lucky enough to meet them occasionally, but you think, you get to know them a bit, and you think, well, they sound like my sort of person. It makes you like them even more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I was never going to meet Eddie Van Halen, and and he's a very different personality to me. But so he connected on a musical level purely, probably. But then somebody like David Grissom that I've just mentioned, he's quite a lot older than me. But when I read about him, he's the sort of bloke he seems to be.
Yeah,
makes me like him more, if that makes sense.
Is he based out in Nashville now?
No, he was born in Kentucky, but he moved to Austin.
All right.
So he's obviously done the whole like Nashville, Carthage, have all his stuff sent over there, record there. But yeah, he's in Austin. I mean, he does a. Sorry, we've gone back to my last one now.
That's all right. No, it's all right.
He does a regular residency at a pub called the Saxon, which I'd love to go and see him play.
Get your in there.
Particularly when he does the trio stuff there. But yeah, so I think these people that we're talking about, and a lot of times we say influence, we probably mean inspiration, don't we?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of guitar players that I'm inspired by that I don't want to play like them. Mm-hmm. But because of the whole thing around them, it inspires me more. Yeah. Right, so my last one then. And this is two people, but I'm allowed to do this. And I've got to say, and I'm not going to rattle on for ages and ages because I've already, but Stone Gossard and Mark McCready from Pearl Jam.
They had to be in there. They had to be in there.
And they come as a unit to me.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other. Even though I love the side projects that both of them have done, as a duo, I think one of the reasons why the band connected with me so much is because they personify how you have a two-guitar band to me.
Yeah.
In that, when they first started, it's changed.
Like Snake Sabo and Scotty Hill.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Stone rhythm, Mike lead, Mike the histrionics, Stone. I always wanted to be Stone at the back, but laying it down, writes all the songs, plays the riffs. The dynamics changed very slightly as they moved on, but I couldn't say one without the other. And again, you see, this is another. Just harking back to the last episode, they seemed more like me.
Right.
Whereas CC DeVille, even Richie Sambora, they didn't seem like me, but I like the music. Whereas now here comes along two guys who seem like me more, and I love the music, and I like the whole philosophy. So it's just everything around. I mean, I devoured. Not that I didn't. Obviously, we've talked about having pictures of blokes on your wall that look like girls, you know. But I devoured every single thing about Pearl Jam. I still do, to be fair. But like every magazine I could get, I bought everything. You know, bought stuff off eBay after 10 came out, where people had done magazine clippings and put them in a folder, and I bought stuff, you know, everything. And in it, it's just the whole. I just like the dynamic between the two of them.
You got a favourite though?
Well, it would have been Stone, definitely, because like I say, the songwriter, the music writer, you know. But I've probably come more over the years to appreciate as well what Mike's doing. He's a blues rock guitar player, but there's just, again, something about his attitude and everything that I just love so much. He again appears to not care what anyone thinks. Just plays what he plays, and I think he's got better as a guitar player over the time as well. But yeah, so they come as a unit to me.
You never met either of them?
Oh no, I wish. No, unfortunately not. I know. I've hung about, but gigs, but never got. Never.
Do they do meet and greets? Are they a band that's ever done meet and greets? No. They've never done that route.
I don't think so. There was something not long ago on one of the tours. They did a VIP thing, and the backlash I read was terrible. It's not something they've ever done. No. Have you seen, just very, very quickly, have you seen that video? I saw this before it went viral, for Eddie getting somebody chucked out recently for punching somebody at a gig.
No, I've not seen that.
I think it was in Switzerland, only a couple of weeks ago. And I think there was a guy bothering this woman that was stood behind him. I don't know exactly what he'd done, but she punched him in the head. And Eddie saw it happen and stopped the band and said, wait, I miss, or madam, whatever he said. You can't do that. Is he bothering me? But did you just hit him? And he said, right. And he got took him out. Took her out. Right. She must have clobbered him from behind. I don't know what he'd done, but wow. And it's quite a funny, not funny. That's the wrong expression. But it's quite a strange thing to witness, even though you're not there. But you've seen this video, and he'd stopped the band, and then he got her ejected, and then he said he walked back onto this stage, arena gig, and said, chorus, you know, and they start again from the chorus where they'd stopped, where he made them stop.
Nice.
You can't blame him. As the singer, you see all these things happening, don't you? But now it's gone a bit viral, and you know,
no one knows the real story about what caused the.
No, I'd have to read into it more. But I was watching some videos people had taken, so I saw it before all this kicked off about it being in the media, and it's just the sort of thing that he'd do, because I know people think he's over sincere, but I think whatever Eddie says, he genuinely means it.
Yeah,
he comes across like that, and if he saw that happen, he's not going to take it.
Yeah,
particularly as you think of things that have happened to the band, like the Roskilde Festival, and that he's probably more aware of it since that happened, you know. Yeah. So, but
always keeping a look at.
So Mike and Stone complement each other so well. And if you've got a study, particularly out of the first couple of albums, if you want to study as a guitar player about how you make a two guitar player band work in modern rock band history, I don't think you can find a better example.
Nice.
Cool. Well, so
Good
what I'll do,
mate.
I'll put a list up now in the video of.
I'm going to have to send you photos of all these guys, aren't I?
Yes, please do. Yeah, if you've got some
Lonnie Vincent pictures.
Yeah, that would be. And send me a picture of that bass you're on about. That,
yes, I still can't remember
what it's called. Yeah, you'll find it. Just
I think
very
it's a PV bass. I think.
PV, yeah, that would make sense. Right, very, very quickly, because the Zoom's going to run out. It's really annoying. This is for us, isn't it? Yeah,
it's fine. We're fine. We got 8 minutes yet. We're all good.
So, very quick honourable mentions. I've got to say Paul Kossoff from Free.
Nice. Yeah.
He actually, I could have said him in the 5, but he had a big influence on my playing early on, because I was trying to work out how he did his vibrato, because it's a really well-known thing. So Mike Eisinger from Incubus, I'm a big fan. Again, was one of the reasons I got into PRS guitars is because of him. I've already mentioned Dweezil. I'm going to say the James Dean Bradfield from the Manic Street Preachers.
Nice
Massively underrated guitar player because he was really into Guns N' Roses and like widdly stuff. But he's such a great songwriting, singer, guitarist. I've got to say Bryan Adams, because without Bryan Adams singing Run to You on breakfast television in whatever year it would have been, 1980 something, that's what made me want to learn to play the electric guitar.
Awesome.
Another guy from the Seattle, Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains.
Good one.
He sort of takes the metal-y thing a bit and made it a bit more classic rock, if I want to say that expression. And then one guy that I'd urge anybody to check out, it was somebody that I've actually quite recently got into, but he's a guy called Tom Bukovac. He is the ultimate session guy. He's played on about 600 albums, Bob. He's Nashville based. So all like the modern country stuff and the alternative country stuff, he's probably played on it.
Wow.
But he's one of the most incredible guitar players. And again, he could play me off the stage by a million times. But it's not just the lead play; it's his rhythm playing and his chords are incredible.
Awesome.
So we're checking out. Come on then. What's your
no Nuno in the list?
Oh no! Well, I could. It's a given, I suppose, isn't it? But I could have had another list of about another 50. Yeah, of course, Nuno. You've got to say. Actually, and you said another guy, Dean DeLeo from the Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah. Well, I'd throw Robert in there as well.
Well, yeah, it's what a bass player. But Dean's harmonic his chord knowledge and the way that he makes things work together, just incredible.
Brilliant.
Go on, you give me a few more names then.
Yeah, all again rock players. Sorry guys for not being stretching my things. I want to say Eric Chandler from Bowling for Soup. Some of the stuff he does, because people see him as a throwaway pop punk party band, but if you listen to Eric's bass playing, I mean, a lot of, if you want to call them pop punk bass players, they do just thump along for the most part. But Eric's from a different background. He knows his stuff. I think he studied jazz for a while. So there's some really cool parts in a lot of Bowling for Soup songs. Yeah. Bruno Ravel from Danger Danger is a highly underrated player.
Yeah.
Some of his playing is incredible.
Yeah.
PJ Farley from Trickster has got one of the most awesome bass sounds ever, and great playing. And I'm going to shout to my man Kev Rice from the local band Toria, who, when I started playing, I actually wrote him a letter. He only lived 2.5 miles up the road from me, but it was Kev Rice from Toria who was in a band. So I wrote him a letter to their mailing address, and he sent me one back. I still got it to this day. I'll have to try and dig that out. Actually,
that'll be interesting. Cool.
He sent me a letter saying, "Oh, thanks for getting in touch. Good luck on the bass." And he put, "Good luck on the bass, the only instrument." And he gave me a book as well, which I've still got, first bass book.
Yeah, you'll have to send me some pictures of that, definitely.
Yeah, absolute legend.
Very good. Right then, mate. Nice one. It's a pain, this Zoom business. Sorry for anyway. I'll edit it down, but we've had to do 2 separate Zoom meetings. They seem to be getting really hot on their 40-minute limit. Now, don't they know that they're dealing with us? We can't do 40 minutes.
No, they want us to pay for the
I know they do.
Premium.
But I think we caught it all. Cool. Right, nice one, mate.
I shall speak to you on the next one.
Yes, we shall think of another suitable topic. All right, mate. See you later.
All right, dude. Take it
easy.
And
keep cool. Keep cool. See ya.